Good morning, everybody. Hey now! Gold Crypto Radio Network, February the 22nd, 2026, 7 a.m. Slightly late to the radio show this morning from a wintry scene from southern Ontario. Has come back after several days of very mild temperatures that melted a lot of our snow. We picked up a fresh blanket of snow overnight with flurries ongoing right now. Almost like a fog, but it's snowing right now. And about a quarter of an inch of snow, just enough to make it nice and white again on the trees and some of the grass that is now showing. With a current official temperature of 0 Celsius. In other words, for you in America, 32 degrees, J. And what we're going to talk about on this live time radio show as we look at the fucking coins, right? Because we all love the coins. You love the coins. He loves the coins. She loves the coins. They love the coins. We all love the coins, and that's why you're all here. But one of the reasons we're here is we're gonna preach, brother. Get on that stage and preach, brother. Right? We're gonna preach a little bit about what it takes to become an asset millionaire as the Bitcoin price is up 0.36% this morning to $68,189. What it takes to be an asset millionaire is it's not how much money you make. It is precisely what you do with the money you make. You understand that? Somebody making $1 million a year, but they spend $1.3 million a year because they got $400,000 cars, $4 million houses. They're going to 5-star restaurants 3 nights, 4 nights a week, right? They're living the high life. They're broke. They lose their income. They lose everything. They file bankruptcy. They live in a box. But a guy making 80 grand a year that somehow manages to live on 35 grand a year and he invests 10 grand a year for 10 years, he's going to have a lot of money at the end of the year. Not a lot, but he's going to be on his way to having some money. Versus the guy for 10 years that lived 30% above his means, lost his job even though he made 13 times more money a year. The guy that saved $10,000 a year and invested it after 10 years, he's probably going to have $250,000 sitting in investments. And the guy that just blew all of his capital and lost his job, he's going to have loans on cars, loans on clothes, loans on jewelry, big loans on homes. And then he's going to file bankruptcy and he's going to have nothing if he lost his job 10 years later. Why? Because he made extravagant income, but he spent it all, right? And that's what most people do is they make 50 grand a year, they spend 50 grand a year, or they spend 80 grand a year, but they only make 50. Then they get a $20,000 raise and they buy a new car or they buy a new house or they upgrade place to live and they spend all that new money. So they're back where they were $20,000 ago. Then 2 years later, they make 20 grand more. Now over the last 5 years, they've doubled their income, but they've doubled their spending and they're still at zero, right? Are you understanding what I'm saying here? Is this as the XRP price is sitting at $1.42 and mine is 0.73%. Did any of that set into you? Did you guys learn? That's a free lesson. People charge for that information right there, right? They will charge you on here for that information. And I just gave it to you for free. The key is to stay out of debt and unfortunately sacrifice some things that you don't need, but you want and live below your means. Like Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger said, for an extended period of time, sometimes years, sometimes decades, depending on your situation, until you can reap the rewards of your delayed gratification as your investments got built up and they start generating equity. They start generating income. They start generating dividends. They start generating capital, most importantly, appreciation, right? And then you combine all those three things and now you have a solid portfolio generating you 50 grand, 100 grand, 200 grand a year without you doing anything anymore, right? So that's what I'm trying to tell you, especially if you're on here and you're young. If you're in your 20s right now and you're listening to this video, whatever money you make, take 25% of it. Don't buy drugs, don't buy booze, don't go partying, don't travel, don't buy new cell phones. Stay with the same iPhone for 5 years, and every year take that $1,400 that you would have spent on that iPhone and put it in a good index fund, right? Like Charlie Munger says. And then when you're 20, if you're doing that, by the time you're 35, you're going to have some money. And do that with your income. Take 25% of your income. Ooh, I believe that's the guy we work with. Busted by the popos. He would be the only one with a truck with fucking the massive monster truck tires and obscenely big truck for a little tiny dude, right? But I think that's him, and I'm gonna make fun of him when I get to work, and he gets to work late because he's sitting there with the police. Y'all can't fuck with the police, but that's the cold hard truth about it, right? The XRP price is you have to live below your means, right? And you have to invest. And if you're in your 20s, I wish I would have did it. I'm telling you to do something that I didn't do if you're listening to me in your 20s. Because in my 20s, I was stupid. In my 20s, I didn't make a lot of money, good thing. But the money that I did make, I blew. I never kept a penny, right? If I made $100 a week, I was down $100 at the end of the week. If I made $500 a week, and back then $500 a week was actually decent money in 2005, 6, 7, 8, 9. 500 a week could actually buy you something. But I would spend it all. It'd be gone at the bar every night, 3, 4 nights a week. At the bar, spending 20, 30, 40 bucks a night. Now that would be 60 bucks a night. But every night, spending 20 to $40 every single night, right? Going to work and then getting drunk at night. And I blew all that money. If I would have took 25% of that money, or just the bar money, or any money, I would have a shitload of money right now if I would have just been investing in Apple, Google, Amazon, the main players of the time, and still are of the time now, right? But nope, I was putting it to a bartender that as soon as I gave him that my money, the capital growth was over. It was done. My labor was done to collect that money, and now that money was done with me because I spent it on something that could do nothing for me no more. Decided to go down my drink, be unhealthy, and be done. It couldn't grow for me, right? But as soon as I started learning that in my late 20s and started applying that in my life at 30, the last 10 years have been significantly different. I've noticed portfolio go up massively from what it was a decade ago when I didn't have shit to being comfortably now, and I'm not broke. And if I got fired today, I wouldn't worry about buying food in 3 months, right? Or how I would pay my, where I would live because I have a paid off home. Not a big home, small home, but paid off, allowing me to get capital growth and allowing me to invest and grow my capital, right? Because my cost of living is very low, which means as I've been increasing my income 10%, 20% a year sometimes over the last 10 years, my income has went up over 100%. I have not increased my standard of living one iota, right? Stayed in the same house, stayed with the same expenses, but my income kept going up. So every time my income goes up, if I make $200 more a week, that's $200 more a week that goes into my investments, right? I don't spend it. I don't increase my lifestyle, which other people have asked me why I haven't bought a house over the last 5 years. Houses are just getting more expensive. You need to buy a bigger home. You need to buy a better car. You need to move up in life. What are you doing? You can afford it. No, I can afford to take the loan out, but I can't afford to pay the house off, right? And all the costs that go with the home. If you buy a $300,000 home and you actually have 20%, and now you're mortgaging 200 grand, 220 grand, 230 grand. Now you got that $2,000 mortgage plus $7,000 property taxes, plus $1,500 a year insurance, plus maintenance of the home, plus buying a lawnmower, plus the pipes breaking, plus appliance breaks. Furnace goes out, roof needs to be repaired, right? All these fucking costs that go with upgrading into a bigger home. So why would I do that right now? I'm sacrificing now, building my assets, and as soon as I get to around $1 million in net worth, then I'll buy a $300,000 house because then that's only 30% of my net worth, and then I pay cash for that with my assets and cash, and then I still have $700,000 in a net worth with assets, and I'm fine. And you're with a paid off home. So I still have my $1 million net worth. I just transferred it from income and producing assets with 25%, 30% of it into a home that can get capital appreciation, but is a liability while you're living in it because you have property taxes and maintenance, right? That's the dirty little secret. and nothing has happened in the coins the last 3 days. XRP is still sitting on the 200-day moving average, right? XLM is still consolidating down. Ethereum hasn't done anything since the last 5 days, especially yesterday. Even Bitcoin dominance is sitting the same, just above 58.55. And the Bitcoin price is again still sitting on the 68,007. That's why we went into this little montage this morning on giving you insight about how to, for free. I didn't charge you for this. Become members of Jabroni Killers. All of my information that I do, knowledge I trade with, or build assets, or try to generate wealth and stay out of debt and stay out of being poor and living free. If you have money, you have freedom. Right, I don't charge you for that. Become a member, Jabroni Killers. That's how you can support the page and get this information for free. I could put it behind a paywall like everybody else, but I will teach you what I know for free. 100% free, because I care, because that's what the gold standard does. Stick with the gold standard all day, all year, all season long. Thank you for joining our broadcast to trade, buy, sell, buy, trade, up, green, red, sell, it's over. Stop loss, buy, moon, right? Prevent all that. Join Jabroni Killer. Stick with the gold standard. We appreciate you listening to our live broadcast. This has concluded another Gold Standard Radio Network.